Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Flush Factory playset from the brand new Fortnite Legendary Micro Series from Jazzwares. And this is a new line of 2.5-inch figures for Fortnite that Jazzwares is doing. Just started at the beginning of this year. If you've been paying attention to the channel, I've had a few reviews of the single packed figures. So I'll put those in the card at the end so you can check those out. There'll be links to those videos at the end of this video. But this is our first playset for the line, so I'm pretty excited about it. I actually found this on Walmart.com. As of the recording of this video, it is still available, so at the end of this video you want to check this out, head on over to there. I tweeted out the link a few days ago when I found it, so you can also follow me on Twitter if you want to find that link, and I kind of be tweeting this kind of stuff out as I find more things. I'm really excited for this line. I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. So you can see here right on the front we get a small figure of Skull Ranger. He comes with a pickaxe, and then you get a couple different pieces here to simulate this location in Fortnite. I like how they always show you with this line where they were first introduced. So this one's been here since the beginning. Chapter 1, Season 1. The Flush Factory has kind of come in and gone out in the history of Fortnite here. Currently not in the game, but it was in Season 2. I remember landing there quite frequently. So pretty cool front of the box here. It shows off 4+ action zones, factory transforms, destroy toilet, crash wall, and secret storage. Says there's 11 pieces down here. On the top of the box, you just have a picture of Skull Ranger there. Not really much going on the bottom. Another picture of Skull Ranger on this side. And then over here it actually says Skull Trooper actual size, which is kind of cool. Spin around to the back, and again, it just kind of shows you some of the features and everything like that. And we do get a cross-sell down here with the other figures that are available. Doggo, I believe, is kind of new. I know Peely and Bunker Jonesy and Cuddle Team Leader are in the squad pack that I have not been able to find yet. I've desperately been searching for that, but I have not been able to find it. Mancake is unaccounted for. We assume he's going to be a single release, but I don't know. No one's found him yet, so we don't 100% know. Him and Raptor, I think, are the only two that are unaccounted for. And, well, now Doggo, because we don't know how Doggo is going to be released either. But it always says, more dropping soon, as they always say on these Fortnite packages. So I'm pretty excited for this one. I'm going to go ahead, get everything out of the box here, and we're going to take a closer look. So here's everything we get in the Flush Factory playset. As you can see here, there's a lot of stuff to go through. So let's start with the Skull Trooper. He looks great. They really did a nice job with this. He's even got the paint all on the back as well. Face paint's pretty sharp. I think that looks pretty good. He's got the same articulation as any of the single packed figures, so he's got a ball joint for the head. It's pretty minimal in terms of up and down, but you can get a little bit of up and down motion there, but mostly side to side. You have a hinge and a rotation in the shoulder. You have a hinge in the elbow. You have a wrist swivel. You have a waist swivel. You have a ball joint in the hip. It's a little limited. It can only go out about that far, and it can really only kick forward about that far. And then you have 90 degrees in the knee. But all in all, pretty good detailing, pretty good paint applications, pretty good articulation. And then he comes with this little pickaxe accessory, his harvesting tool, which you can see is just all done in this translucent bluish green color. And then they painted some black over top of that. I hope over time, because it's kind of a tight fit, I'm hoping the paint doesn't wear off of the handle. You can see that there's kind of a smaller part of the handle here, and then it's a little bit too thick for him to grab on up here, so he kind of has to grab on to the smaller part of the handle down below. But he can pop that in pretty nicely, and he holds on to it very well. Unfortunately, the set does not come with any weapons, so he does not have any guns or anything like that. He just has the harvesting tool. So I'm hoping they do some kind of like ammo packs or some other way to get more accessories for figures in the future, but for the most part, he looks cool. I think the Skull Trooper looks pretty great. So I'm going to move on here and we will check out some more of the playset. We'll move on to these smaller items here in the front. So first up, we have the Toilet Maker. At least that is what is called in the directions. If you're familiar with the Flush Factory, if you've ever landed there in the game, there are several of these inside the factory, you know, producing the toilets inside. You can see that there is a rotation here, right at the base here where the silver part meets the orange. You can also turn this section, and that will move the arm around there, and then also this part here spins. It looks like this should be able to move in and out like this, but it doesn't. From everything I can tell, this does not. It'll spin, but it won't go in and out, which is kind of a bummer. But it's a neat little thing, and it's fairly accurate to the game from what I can remember. So I think that's pretty fun. They actually went ahead and put this in. Now you can kind of use it to grab characters or something like that. It doesn't really grab a hold all that well, to be quite honest. But you can try to work something out. Let me see if I can get this to kind of grab a hold of him maybe at the torso here. Yeah, that actually works pretty well. There you go. Look at that. It actually grabs on pretty well. And then you can kind of spin him around. So that's kind of fun. I mean, it's a neat little accessory. We also have this toilet here. It does open. The lid is open here. It comes apart in 2 pieces. So I don't know if this is so that you can have the toilet maker put them together, or if you can just simulate battle damage, like if you wanted to pickaxe it apart. But that does peg in there, and the lid does open, so you can kind of have someone sit on it if you want. There it is what it is. Next we'll move to this little chest here. This is actually really nicely detailed. I do wish these sections over here were painted silver like the top, but at least it does extend all down here on the front. Would have been nice to a little bit of paint there on the side as well, but opens up. You can store some things inside. Unfortunately, his pickaxe doesn't really fit in there. Let me see if I can grab... We'll bring in Battlehound here to assist us. This is one of the individual figures. We will take his gun, and you should be able to put that right inside there. So there you go. You can simulate opening a chest to find some weapons. And I'm hoping we get some like med packs and shield potions and things like that in the future that we could also stuff in here. Would be pretty cool. Maybe little piles of gold, something like that. But it's a pretty nicely detailed little chest. Like I said, I do kind of wish this section here on the back was painted, and maybe the little rings on the side, but otherwise pretty cool. Like that quite a bit. Then we get into some weirder accessories. So we have this little park bench, and we have a teddy bear, which you can kind of, you know, sit on the park bench if you want. Or you can go ahead and have the teddy bear sit on the toilet, which is kind of hilarious to me, so I'm going to leave him on there. But anyway, the teddy bear is just basic. I know that there have been a couple of these in the game. There's that one, or there used to be, that one mountain where he sat on like the little armchair by himself. You know, just random stuff they throw in the game. So you get a little teddy bear there. The park bench is okay. You can see, unfortunately, mine has some QC issues there with a little bit of silver paint. Not a big deal. These parts of it are painted very nicely. I do appreciate that. I do think it's weird, though, how much this slopes down, because it makes it a little difficult for the character to actually sit on it. He kind of naturally wants to slide off, which is kind of strange. Now, obviously, you can use his knees to steady him, but it's just not super conducive. If they would have just made it a little bit more of a right angle, he could have sat on there a little bit easier. But it's still possible. I guess technically you could have him sleep on it if you want, although he might fall off over there as well. But anyway, you get a park bench. I don't even really see these that often in the game, so I'm not 100% sure why this was included here. I don't really remember this as part of the factory, but maybe it was, and I'm just completely forgetting it. That's very possible. It could just be a random accessory they wanted to include. I don't know. You also get a trash can. Again, don't really remember too many trash cans in the game. There are large dumpsters the characters can hide in, but standalone little trash cans, I don't remember all that much. You can kind of use it as like an umbrella stand and put the pickaxes in there if you like. If we get a couple of these, that's an option. But yeah, I don't know. Some of the accessories are a little questionable. Some of them are great, but these 3 in particular for me are a little off. So next up, we'll move to the 2 main focal points of this playset. We have the large toilet, and if you're familiar with this location in the game, this is definitely right out front of the Flush Factory. Usually there's a chest on top, so you kind of have to break this down so that it will drop down to you, but it's just a large toilet. It opens up. You do have room for some storage in there. You can kind of almost put like he's using it as like a jacuzzi or something. He doesn't quite fit all the way in here. I mean, it's pretty close if I take the pickaxe out. You can kind of get him in there, and it doesn't quite close all the way. But if you finagle it around a little bit and you actually kind of bend the knees a little bit more, it's possible you might be able to get him to hide in there. You can certainly store some weapons in there, things like that. It wouldn't be a problem. But he actually almost fits completely inside, which is kind of fun. And like I said, if you moved it around a little bit more, you could probably find a way to get him in there. But like I said, in the game, there's usually a chest on top of here. You can completely simulate that, and then you kind of pickaxe this down, and then all the stuff drops down. So that's kind of fun. It's very easily assembled. Just actually three pieces here. You have the base. This plugs into that. This plugs in on top, and then there's a little no dancing decal to affix right there on the front. There's not a ton to it, but it's fun. You could also really use this with like your 4-inch characters, maybe even 6-inch characters. It kind of is in scale with them. So, but this is definitely a focal point of the Flush Factory in the game, so it makes sense that they would include it here. And then over here we have this piece, which they actually just called the Flush Factory. It's just kind of part of the building. If you want to think about, like, this could potentially be the like side of the entire factory. There's a little decal here on the side. There is a door here. Now what you can do is go ahead and pickaxe this down. So if you have, let's bring Skull Trooper back in with his pickaxe tool. And we can pretend that he is tapping on this, pickaxing away, and then you can push this in and it drops down. It cannot come out. There is kind of a little lip here, as you can see, which prevents it from coming out this way. So it has to go backwards. But then you can just kind of come in and pretend like you've pickaxed the wall down. You can put characters in here. Or if you want to leave this up, of course you can have characters in here as well. This section on the front here as well can come down. So there's a little clasp here. You kind of pop that down so that this can come all the way around. And this kind of makes it look like, once again, you pickaxed the wall down and then built some ramps up. You can see they give you stickers to make it look like the building material in the game. So this looks like a brick ramp and then a metal ramp here, so that it looks like, you know, this was busted open and then they built some platforms to get up to it, which is kind of cool. There is a little peg hole right here. So if you want to peg in one of your characters, because they all have peg holes on their feet, so you can peg this in like so. Now he doesn't have a gun, so it would be kind of a weird angle to just stand up here with his harvesting tool. But you can absolutely do that. You can put some characters over here. We'll bring Battlehound back in to assist us. And you can pretend like he's firing or just kind of hanging out. So it's kind of cool. It's got some cool playset features here. You can also have some characters back here if you want. If we were to leave this completely closed up, you can see you can put some characters back here. So that's kind of fun. So I like that. I like that it gives you some options. You even have, if we scroll all the way up top, little chimney up here. You could kind of put a character up here, like he's firing his gun up there. And it's pretty tall. I mean, this is probably 8 to 10 inches tall, this piece. So it's nice for world building. If they start to do a lot of these different playsets, you could kind of put everything together and make like a full battlefield, which I think is kind of neat. And I think it gives you some cool options here. The breakaway wall. This wall can transform down to make it look like they're building some ramps. And I like the stickers. I think the stickers are a nice attention to detail there. Pretty easily applied. Not too bad. And then there's another little decal they have you put over here that says that there's a trap nearby. They don't give you a trap piece. Maybe that'll come in a future set. I'm not sure. But I do think that's kind of cool. Two really cool pieces here. And these two pieces really scream Flush Factory to me the most out of everything included. They're probably my two favorite pieces. I think this is a pretty cool playset. There are parts that I think really work, parts that are okay, and parts that don't really make sense to me at all. I would say the two best parts are the large toilet statue and the factory itself. The large toilet statue is a focal point of this location. If you've landed there in the game, you definitely know what I'm talking about. It made total sense to include that here. They even gave you a chest, so you can kind of simulate the fact that there's usually a chest on top of the toilet, and you have to break it down to get to all the goodies inside. The toilet itself is kind of funny. You can almost fit a character completely inside. You could definitely use it for weapon storage, or you could even just use it as a fun, set piece or something for larger characters you might have. So that could work for that as well. The factory itself, I think, looks great. Really nice paint applications, nice detail. The play features, I think, really work. The breakaway wall is cool. You have the top part of the wall that kind of transforms down so that it looks like there was some, more wall pieces built up to it, like the construction that's possible in the game. The stickers get applied really nicely, and they look really good. They do have like one peg to peg characters on, which is kind of neat. I would have liked maybe one or two more, but there's definitely a lot of flat surfaces to display characters, so I don't think you'll have too much trouble posing characters around with them falling down, but it would have been nice to have maybe one or two more pegs. Skull Trooper looks fantastic. I like him a lot. He's got great articulation. I love his harvesting tool. Another excellent figure to add to the collection. And I kind of like the toilet maker robot arm. Again, it makes total sense for the location. If you're familiar with the game, they definitely have several of them in the factory making the toilets, and they give you the little breakaway toilet piece that can make it look like you're assembling it or breaking it. It can break into two pieces. That's kind of nice. So all of those I really like. The chest I really like. You can also fit some weapons in there as well. It's nicely painted. I wish it had a few more paint applications on the back. That might even be something that scales well with the 4-inch figures, if you think about it in relation to the game. It's a little big for the 2.5, but I still think it's fun. But it could actually work really well for the 4-inch characters. The parts of the set that don't really make sense to me, the park bench, the teddy bear, the trash can, there's nothing wrong with them. They might have just been a few small odds and ends to pad out the set to give it a little bit more value, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with them. I don't hate them or anything like that. I just don't think they make as much sense as the rest of the items included in the playset. Everything else makes sense for the Flush Factory. It's all things I've seen in the game. They all go together. The other pieces are just kind of random things that I don't even really see that often in the game. I'm not going to say they're not in there, because I'm pretty sure I've run into a park bench every once in a while, but they're not super prevalent, and even when they are, they don't really do much. So to put them in here is kind of weird. If it was more like a town square area, something like Twisted Towers or something like that, where you might actually see them, it would make more sense to include it. Here it seems kind of random, but again, not a problem, just not as much of the focal point, certainly not the part of the set that I'm most excited about. So parts of this I think really work. I think the factory and the toilet statue, the chest, probably my favorite parts. The meh parts are kind of like the smaller toilet and the toilet maker. I think they still work, but just not as exciting. And then the park bench and the trash can, the teddy bear, they're fine, but they're just not the most exciting parts. And then of course, Skull Trooper's just great. Now, the part that I'm going to come back to is it worth the price? I got this on Walmart.com, and like I said, I think it was like $28.50, something like that. If you think about the fact that the standalone figures are $6, I think, that means it's about $20 for everything else. When I think about it like that, I think that's fair. I think you get a decent amount of stuff here. You have some really nice playset pieces, some nice accessories, some extra stuff tossed in to pad out the value of the set. I don't think that's outlandish. I would have loved it to be 25. I would have absolutely loved it to be 20, but I think that's not necessarily fair. So I think the value is there. It's just tight in my opinion, but I don't feel ripped off by any means. I think it's a fun set. I'm definitely going to be looking into more of these. I'm really having fun with the line, so I'm going to be going all in on it so far. I think at this point, the only thing I need to find is that squad pack that's out. I've been looking everywhere and I cannot find it, but I hope to find it soon. But I think this is fun. Like I said, I found it on Walmart.com. As far as I know, the link is still up. I think it's still available to buy. So you can head over to Walmart. If you even just search Fortnite Micro Series, you'll find it. But yeah, I think it's fun. I like it a lot. I'm really looking forward to more vehicles and more playsets in the future, so we can kind of build out this expanded line and kind of make a larger island with all the different playsets and locations and things like that. I think it could be a lot of fun. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.